God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, courage to change the things, courage to change the things that I can, wisdom to know the difference. Good morning, family and friends. I wanted to talk about pain. P-A-I-N. Pac made a good one. Pain. So much pain. I remember one of the best meetings I had was at the table when we went out on a work program, but we couldn't work. And so we sat down, all of us in the room, and we discussed our pain. And I got a chance to listen to my brother's pain. And then it made me know that I could identify with pain, one of the worst pains that I felt is coming home to an empty house where there was once laughter and joy and kids playing, and you open the door and you see that it's vacant. All the toys are gone, the children are gone, the mother's gone. It's just an empty house, but it's such a shock. It felt like my heart had been ripped out, Pain of getting cheated on is one, but the pain of an empty house is another, and I know a lot of brothers deal with that. It made me think about Luther Vandross' song, "This House Is Not a Home When There's No One to Love." So I can also see men going off and being cowboys once that family structure is gone. I mean, back in the day, cowboys, like Woody from the Toy Story, cowboys, they got their book, their rifle, and their Bible, and their horse, and they took off to explore. It's good for men to explore and to push yourself to the limit so you can know his own depths. Don't be, we don't want to be shallow. Where's this definition that I have? Pain. Pain is a distressing feeling often caused by intense or damaging stimuli. The International Association for the Study of Pain widely used the definition and defined pain as unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with actual or potential tissue damage, or described in terms such as damaged. I seen a guy at the table who had so much purpose to touch other people, but he stopped to entertain pain, and it was like he kept rehearsing the past and going in a circle and going backwards and getting stuck. Don't get stuck. We have to not get stuck. If you could take that pain and turn it into passion of pursuing, helping somebody else, or someone else from the same tragedy that he went through. Our sisters go through pain, our brothers go through pain, the mother goes through pain when she labors. I remember when Gregory got his first piece of pain. He came out, he was calm, he was cool. I was there for his birth. I was the first one to touch him. And cut the cord and everything, It just baffles me to be so intensely close to someone and then be so distant. But he cried and he fussed them. They're like, hit me over with this needle, Dad, you let him. And that was my joy, my baby boy. And, so I'm saying that in pain, the other most painful experience that I had was when I found out. It was Christmas morning. I was standing with my uncle uptown, and my cousin came in the room. I was asleep. And he was like, man, fuck my family, man. He was just mumbling. And I was like, what is he talking about? He said, man, your son. And I was like, what do you mean? He never gave me details. And so, my other dad, my stepdad was there. Gerald, he just, just present. And so I just got out and I said, well, let me go by his grandmother's house on Josephine and see, what's going on. Where's my boy? Because the last time we connected to talk or attempted to talk was his birthday. And I called his mother and me and her talked for a little while. And she said, I'll let him know that you called. And it was a breakthrough. We were getting forward, traction, And he called back late at night. I was sleeping. I missed his call, I have it on my phone records, But pain. Sometimes other people lash out because they're pain. But that pain went across my chest, my head, my body. All I could do was weep, Someone said that, pain can be like a record, spinning a record. Records we used to put on a jukebox and it spins, but this record is not going around. This record is because of the scratches on the album, the scratches on the melody, the scratches on the tune. So pain, we all deal with it. We all go through it. But I'm just trying to figure out, how do we get past the pain of disappointment, the pain of rejection, the pain of letdown, the pain of molestation, the pain of loneliness, the pain of rejection. How do we get along with pain, and how people can prey on pain? I know it's hard for somebody to say, develop a relationship with God when I'm suffering all of this, but I just think that acknowledging your higher power and getting some time to yourself to put the words in action and repeat them to yourself to heal. I mean, you, I, and everybody in America smoke a lot of gas, a lot of weed, pills, drugs, alcohol, to mask the pain, to cover it up, to cope, should I say. And I'm going to go over this definition again. Pain is distressing feeling often caused by intense or damaging stimuli. Wham! I got hit on a football field and experienced excruciating pain. The loss of a loved one, excruciating pain. What do I do with it? I'm walking around, I'm wounded, I'm hurt, I'm heavy. I'm feeling this feeling that is controlling my emotions and my body. But I looked at the guys and I'm like, some people were in the treatment program because they got out of jail. Some people were in the treatment program because our lives had become unmanageable. And we say, fuck work, fuck everything. I'm going to just soothe this pain and get along. And it is damaging. And we have to know how to heal. It says it's damaging to the stimuli. It says the International Association for Study of Pain widely uses this definition. Unpleasant sensory and emotional experience. Very unpleasant, very unpleasant. But my question to you is, how do we deal with pain? Last night I couldn't sleep because I have a toothache. And my tooth decided to take over and control what was going on. Every time I closed my eyes, I couldn't sleep. I took something for the pain. It was a BC. Took 2 of them. It didn't work. I put ice pack on it. That helped a little bit. Excuse me. I also gargled my mouth with hydrogen peroxide, which that helped some. And I finally went to sleep. But I decided to work because I couldn't sleep. I'm deciding to work because I can't get justice. I'm deciding to work on me and work harder and harder and harder and more consistent. So I just pray that you find a way and that I find a way to deal with our pain, because I ran across this lady and I could hear her speaking, and it was like she had a great message, but her pain and her anger and her distaste was covering it. It was almost like if it was supposed to be a saxophone that played smoothly, but the tune was coming out fucked up. Like, you have the instrument to present it, but the delivery was just like, what the fuck, so. That's right. So with that being said, man, I'm praying. I hope that you're praying for me, that we can deal with our pain and find a place to recover, find people that are conducive to the support of you covering your pain. And like I said, Sometimes we get overwhelmed and we put the dope on top of it to do what? Mask the pain. Mr. Grady gave me this step number 3. That was our step for the street team. And I'll just read it to you. I shared with you the other day that the 12 steps could change your life. I had run across people that were right up on the answer, but they refused to accept the answer. They refused to take the help. They refused to acknowledge it. Even this guy was with my bunkie. The instructions were to take the sheets off of your bed and, we're going to wash them. Someone else was going to wash them. His response was, I'm going to throw my sheets under the bed. What the fuck, man? You're doing insanity. Insanity. My mother told me the definition of insanity is to continue to do the same thing and expect different results. I'm going to say that again. The definition of insanity is to continue to do the same thing and expect different results. So with that being said, the message, that the headliner was personal responsibility. How do I take personal responsibility of what's going on with me? What's going on, and how can I change me to be better? Step number 3, give yourself over to that higher power. Give yourself over to that higher power. You accept that you cannot change on your own, and that the higher power will help you to make the changes that you need to make in order to stop using. Step number 3, give yourself over to that higher power. I think that's God. I think that's a spiritual relationship. I think that maybe getting in the Bible. I'm not necessarily saying traditions or church etiquette. You can find refuge in the message and motivation. But you can also find a racket sometime, Past collection, played around 5 or 6 times. And, I walked out there with 3 points in a poem, but the man that's delivering the message, do you care about me? Do you love me? Will you be there with me through it? Will you help me? A lady that I know, thought she should be nourishing. All she could do was step over me. The first step to nourishment was making sure my belly was fed and I was full. I know that she wanted my protection. I would be willing to destroy the world for her, but she couldn't understand that I need to nourish. I need to find this woman in me to nourish this man, in his pain, help him back to recovery. Not what I can extract for my benefit. I don't know where that just came from. To higher power, you accept that you cannot change on your own. My life became unmanageable as I knew it. Unmanageable. My life became unmanageable. These different things come in these different circumstances. I have to accept that I can't handle this so that I can find a start point to begin and to finish. But if you don't find a start point to begin and finish, you're just drifting. You're just drifting. And that the higher power will help you to make the changes that you need to make in order to stop using. And I guess stop using is using a crutch, using something that was destroying you instead of helping you. So with that, I love you. I wish the best for you. I see you at the top. If there's any way that I can add value to you, let me know. But I suffered with this toothache all last night. And, the word that I wanted to speak this morning was pain. How do I deal with this pain that's consuming my heart, my soul? I'm hurting. They say hurting people hurt people. So how do I heal so that I can begin to heal people? I love you. Until next time, when God inspires me, I will speak.